outside of this like chat and this podcast, I honestly haven't really heard the word philanthropy or philanthropist. So like I feel like when it was first brought up to me, I kind of had to do a little bit of research on it and what it means. So to answer the question, does the word feel outdated? I want to say yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to Impact Chat by Defeat the Streets. It is an absolute privilege to have you here with us. And I can just get a vibe from all of you that, yeah, the inspiration is just coming through so energetically. And so I'm stoked about having this conversation and getting to know all of you and what your intentions are about bringing philanthropy into the world and what that means to you. So thank you so much for being here. I think the best thing we can do is I'd like to just share what I would like to incorporate in having this beautiful dialogue with all of you, kind of set an intention. I think that this can be the most impactful chat by sharing what inspires you. And I don't mean that in a way that is nuanced or I mean that in the realest way possible, that I'd like to really explore a time in your young life that, as we say at Defeat the Streets, tapped you. That's our tagline, right? Tap your inner philanthropist. And I think the most authentic way to actually bring philanthropy into the world is to share how you've been tapped, what has inspired you. I've read your guys' bios, and so I've gotten a little bit of an insight. But as we continue in this conversation, I'm just going to explore that with you through dialogue of maybe sharing an experience that occurred to you in your young life that has tapped you, maybe cosmically, spiritually, through holding space for a friend or family member, something that's really spoken to your heart that you'd like to participate in and help others in this world. So that's my intention with this chat this evening. So let's start. I'm going to start with Ray. You're the first up. The first thing we're going to do, Ray, is an icebreaker. We like to do these icebreakers because it's kind of fun, get to know you, and we're going to ask you these one word answers to these questions. So, Ray, what's one word that describes you?
I would say passionate.
Oh, yeah. We need that. We need more of that. And the last song you played.
Oof, okay, this is a bit sad, but Black by Pearl Jam.
If your personality was a season,
I'd go fall.
okay? And TikTok, Instagram, or neither.
I hate to say it. I want to say neither, but I have to go Instagram. It takes up way too much of my day.
Okay. Well, I think that's fair. And first thing that comes to mind when you hear philanthropy.
First word is just volunteering.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Eduardo, you're up.
All
So we
right.
what one more describes you
I'll say optimistic.
and the last song you played?
I'm not sure what song, but I've been listening to a lot of the Cardigans. So I guess just anything by them.
Okay. And if your personality was a season,
I'll say fall as well.
TikTok, Instagram, or neither?
I love Instagram. It's my
Yeah.
favorite app.
Okay. First thing that comes to mind when you hear philanthropy.
I'll say hope.
Hmm. Beautiful. And Callie. So Callie, one word that describes you.
I want to say silly.
I love silly. That's the best. And the last song you played.
Um, like Eduardo, I'm not really sure the song, but it's definitely something Lord.
Okay. That makes sense. That tracks. If
Yeah,
your personality was a season,
fall.
uh, three falls, TikTok, Instagram, or neither.
Definitely Instagram.
Oh, wow. Okay. You guys are surprising me. And the first thing that comes to mind when you hear philanthropy.
I think helping people.
Nice. And where are we going, Elijah? What are we doing? One word that describes you.
I would say kind.
Kind?
Kind, yes.
Yeah, that's very telling by your smile. Last song you played.
I forgot who made it, but it was a Seventh Heaven.
Okay, Seventh Heaven. If your personality was a season,
I want to say winter.
winter. TikTok, Instagram, or neither?
I hate to say Instagram.
Instagram. And first thing that comes to mind when you hear philanthropy,
I'd say helping.
helping. Okay, and Jordana, what's up with you, girl? One word that describes you.
I would say curious.
Curious, beautiful. I love that. And last song you played.
I just turned it off before this. It was Maine by Noah Kahn.
Okay, love him. If your personality was a season,
Spring.
spring. TikTok, Instagram, or neither?
I'm gonna go TikTok. I'm an Instagram hater, so
Oh, okay. I'm glad that there's a TikToker in
yeah.
the house, though. That means a lot to me. First thing that comes to mind when you hear philanthropy.
I'd say empathy.
Beautiful. So I guess I'm just going to throw it up in the air. The one question to just prompt us and get us going here is, what does philanthropy mean to you?
I can get the ball rolling. I
Okay.
think when pe a lot of other people hear the term philanthropy, the first thing that comes to mind is just donating money. I feel
Hmm.
like that's like the most common way it's used today is just like if you're a philanthropist, you're someone who just raises money and donates it. But it can be much more than that. And I know it can be much more than that because it's just the love of other people and the caring for them. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that aren't really being seen as much now just because of that narrative surrounding it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. And with your age group, Ray, do you hear that word often? I mean,
No, I don't. It's one I kind of read about a lot in like high school, but even like going through college, I didn't hear a lot about philanthropy outside of just like someone's parents like did philanthropy, which was
mhm.
just hosting events to raise money for charity.
Yeah. And so it sounds like it may have a connotation that, I don't want to say negative connotation, but for you personally, I would imagine it at, again, your age, you're probably not throwing money at things right now, right?
Yeah, money's a bit tight
Yeah.
living out as a broke college student. So it, like I feel like it can kind of discourage people from being interested in philanthropy as well when like that connotation is like that wrongful connotation because of course you can donate money, but it's much more than that.
Yeah. I think throwing money is actually the easiest version of service. And so philanthropy to you is, you want to just help others. Can you share an experience where you've been
Yeah.
philanthropic?
Yeah, absolutely. My sophomore year of high school, I went on a mission trip actually down to Ecuador, and it was a great experience for me because I got to go and we helped. I stayed there for like 3 weeks, and we got to help lay the foundation of a church, and we went every day and hung out with the school children, and we went to their English class, and we were helping teach them English. And we before we went down there, we raised money within the church, so we got to like actually donate it to them, and I got to see like the real effects that it had on doing so. It
Mm,
it was really cool.
yeah. So there it is. There's your passion that you mentioned, right? And that's super inspiring. So let me check in with Callie. So the question, Callie, just to refresh, is, what does philanthropy mean to you? And then I'm going to drill down a little bit. Do you think that the word feels outdated?
I'm gonna be completely honest. Outside of this like chat and this podcast, I honestly haven't really heard the word philanthropy or philanthropist. So like I feel like when it was first brought up to me, I kind of had to do a little bit of research on it and what it means. So to answer the question, does the word feel outdated? I want to say yes, just because I feel like at least people in my generation don't really talk about it that much.
Mhm.
Um, and what does it mean to me? Again, just to reiterate, I think it does mean helping people. I don't necessarily think that it means that you have to donate money or that money has to be involved at all. I think a lot of like hard work and like physical donation can be considered philanthropy as well.
So, is there an experience that you've had personally that you've involved yourself in this form of philanthropy that isn't outdated, that is super fresh?
I mean, I'm trying to think of something really specific, but I did study education in college, and
Mhm.
I did student teaching not just my senior year, but I did it for all 4 years of college. So I feel like working in a classroom with kids, and like I did a lot of tutoring when I was in college, and for one of my classes specifically. So I think like just working in classrooms and working with kids just to help them do better and help out the teacher a little bit.
And Eduardo, I'm coming for you. We're going to talk about what do you feel about philanthropy and what it means to you.
Um, I think something it like reminds me of, or the first word I, not the first word I think of, because I already said that, but another word or a concept that reminds me of is the concept of altruism.
Hmm.
I feel like that to me sounds more like it's pretty grand of a word, but it sounds more poignant to the idea of like doing what you can to help others, like going out of your way to do something that doesn't benefit you exactly. Um, I think that sounds more meaningful to me than like this word philanthropy, which sounds maybe a little dated to me, you know.
For us here at Defeat the Streets, we want to know um, how we can make it more relevant, how we can empower people to feel philanthropic with and take the money out of it, right? So for you, your bio is extremely robust. I love that your intention is to help diverse communities. So why don't you tell us about what you're doing about that?
Um, I guess something that I did back in during quarantine when I was in high school, I had not much to do, so it was kind of forced upon me, but also a little fun to do was me and my friend learned how to sew, and we created some masks to help out with like the mask shortage.
Mm.
Just in our off time because there wasn't much to do, and we donated them to our like local community centers. I feel like getting in touch with the community and like meeting people that I'd never like met before, even though they live minutes away from me, was very like touching, and getting to do that was it was hard at first, just like getting started, but once we started, it was easy to get the ball rolling, and like once we learned everything, you know.
Yeah, that sounds like it really sparked your inner philanthropist. COVID was tough. I'm glad that you found meaning in it. And Elijah, coming for you now. So, what does philanthropy mean to you? What do you think about this word?
I think philanthropy really means helping others in kind of my mindset of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
so you're in New York City.
yes.
Yeah. And so I'm sure you have a lot of opportunity. I mean, just an urban environment, there's just
Oh yeah.
service to be done everywhere. So what does philanthropy look like for you?
Philanthropy really looks like helping, like let's say in a community, helping your peers, helping really anyone, lending a helping hand to whoever really needs it. What
Yeah.
me? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like, I guess that's another thing that we're trying to do with philanthropy is that it doesn't have to be grandiose, right? Philanthropy, again, back to the definition of it, is being of service to humanity. And that's what having these conversations is so important, to just inspire everyone that to wake up with that, as you said, your word is kindness. Being kind, period, I think is the highest level of philanthropy that we can offer others. And I'm so glad that you are walking that path. Good for you. And Jordana, hi.
Hey.
What are you thinking about philanthropy? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I mean, I think everyone kind of hit it spot on. Philanthropy is really just about giving and kind of impacting others in any way possible. I think that like it's really about doing something with intention. Like you said, Kiki, whether it's a big or a small act, something that like even as simple as writing a note to someone when you can tell that they're having a bad day can have that ripple effect and really change the course of either their life, their day, what they do in the future. So I kind of just like to think of philanthropy more in like that sense of it could just be an act of kindness type of thing. I do use the word philanthropy more often just because I'm in a social sorority at school, and we um like our whole framework essentially is around our philanthropy. So I
Mm.
do hear this word very often, and it's something that, I've been exploring over the past couple of years. And then also throughout high school, everything I was involved with, it's really been impactful. So I don't think necessarily the word feels outdated to me just because I'm around it so often.
Right. And so tell us about some philanthropy that you did in particular in high school.
Yeah. So my biggest kind of project that I worked on in high school, freshman year, I was talking to a friend and he was kind of struggling with his mental health. And I had to talk him through something, and I didn't really know what was going on, what to say. And it definitely put me in a strange position where I felt I wasn't given the proper resources to really connect with him. And I was honestly just very nervous at that
Sure.
time. From there on, that was my freshman year, I reached out to our Board of Education at our school and then kind of set the framework for a mental health awareness club at my high school and ran that for all 4 years. Just kind of being able to really educate the community around us, the high school, the teachers, and then also parents about the mental health stigma, was definitely something that really drove me, and was like a very important part of my high school career.
Um, and so I guess that leads into this next question that I would love to dialogue about. And I think Jordana nailed it with what sparked you to action, what tapped you. And is there an issue or an injustice that really moves you? What's something you've done or wanted to do to help? I know, Eduardo, we talked about the masks, but I'd love someone to chime in. And I think the more real you can be, and the more raw you can be in this moment, the better. So, anything like that, if you want to share a personal story of how you've been tapped, I'd really appreciate it at this time.
Um, I think because I talked a lot about like helping out in schools and stuff as a teacher and my college experience. But one thing that I noticed when I started going into schools and helping out is that a lot of the students who their families don't have a lot of money, um, typically you see those students flying way below the radar, um, and they're not given the help that they need. And in a school that I was actually working at, um, me and another student teacher were actually placed with like the lowest group of students, while all the other students got to go into like a classroom for like their advisory period where they were like they were given a lot of resources to help for their state testing. It kind of felt like the students who were just below the radar were given to us, and we didn't have the proper training. I mean, we hadn't graduated at the time, we weren't certified to
Mm.
really teach them anything. So it just felt like we were almost babysitting them. And so to me, that's something I'm really passionate about is treating all of those students with equity and giving every student an equal opportunity to succeed. So that's one thing that really speaks to me and something that kind of dawned on me recently.
Wow, that's incredible. And the fact that you are aware of those kids, as you said, they're under the radar.
Yeah.
And it is going to require someone like yourself who is going to take the initiative, again, that inner philanthropist, that you get that whisper and you don't know where the whisper comes from. I like to think it comes from the heart, right? And to insert yourself where no one's asking you to. That organic philanthropy is huge. And it you don't get credit for it, right? You don't get there's you know you don't get a gold star, and that's the whole point. That's not what this is about. It's about just doing selfless service. So thank you. That's beautiful.
I
Anyone
think
else
that
like to share?
I think
Go
that
ahead.
a big issue that I kind of noticed is the trend of like disconnectedness between people, whether it's like politically or physically or or emotionally. Like people are becoming radicalized at a crazy rate. People are isolating themselves more and not really interacting with each other. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to talk about their mental health when it comes to, like dealing with depression and anxiety and those kinds of things. There's as much as there is a people trying to like bring unity nowadays, I think there's at least a loud part of people that are trying to stop that, that
Mm,
just kind of want things to stay as divisive as possible
mm,
because people like them can kind of thrive in that environment.
mm,
And yeah, I've really tried to work hard with everyone that I meet to try to like bring around a kind of genuineness that's not really viewed as, at least in my opinion, viewed favorably. Like people throw around the word corny a lot. They they talk about like performative when people are just trying to be themselves, and I don't think that's really fair. Um, so the only way that I've been able to kind of like work against like that disconnectedness, at least in like my groups, is when I like have conversations with my friends, I let them know that like they can always talk to me if there's any genuine issues that are pressing them, like mentally or like physically or anything like that. And I try to let everyone in my life know how much I love and appreciate them and the kind of impact that they have on me. Because sometimes you won't even know how much you mean to someone. Like I had when I was in high school, I would get driven to school every day by my friend's dad and I would just talk to him for the 30 minutes it would take for me to go to school. And this was a daily occurrence. And to me, it was just passing the time. And, I really liked the guy, but I didn't think too much of it. But little did I know, he was severely depressed. He had just lost his job and he was contemplating suicide.
mm,
And the conversations that I had with him on that way to school helped get him back on his feet and rediscover his worth and value because someone like me, and it could be really just anyone, took the time to actually talk to him as a human and give him that connection and experience. So
yeah.
I really think it's important to let everyone know, not just the people that you're super close with, but the people you interact with, their worth and value.
Yeah, that's extremely profound and very, very important to hear. And uh yeah, we need more of that, right? So good. Yeah, it's just all love. It's just all love. Thank you for sharing that.
Kind of, I have something to add to that. I feel like that notion of people being very disconnected. I've had like the privilege of living kind of across the globe and like multiple different continents when I was younger. And I think it really exposed me to a lot of different cultures and communities and people different from myself. Um, and it feels nowadays like people are more disconnected in that way, and they don't really get to know people that are different from themselves. And so when there are these issues in communities that are far apart from each other, they don't really understand or they have less empathy when I think if they got to know each other, they'd kind of understand like they all come from the same place and like everyone, has the same feelings and deserves the same things. So that's something that's been like, I don't know, very important to me as someone who's also multicultural to kind of spread that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. And I just love that you all have this awareness. So many people are asleep, and it requires trailblazers like you all. And I don't mean it again, it doesn't have to be like philanthropy is sort of an elitist word. And that's here at Defeat the Streets. We're actually taking the word back because that's not what it is. It's being of service, and those micro moments of just showing compassion and holding space and being present for someone is truly the most philanthropic act there is. And I just am so glad you guys get it. It's awesome. So Elijah, share an act of kindness for us.
Oh, I do have to give a little context about this. As a kid, I grew up with a leg length discrepancy. So when I was born, one leg was shorter than the other, and I had to go through multiple surgeries.
Mm,
And I remember really feeling what's it called? Feeling of unmotivation, feeling if I wasn't good enough
mm,
because I felt like my leg weighed me down. And it took a while to get me out of there. And then I remember seeing my cousin who had the it wasn't the same thing, but he had asthma. And he was going through that. And then that kind of sparked something in me that I
mm,
didn't want him to go through that.
mm,
So then, we kind of helped each other. We piggybacked, and I brung that mentality into high school, where I started. I kind of dipped my nose into the social groups there, try to say hi to everyone, and really, I didn't want anyone to feel the same way I felt
mm,
as a kid before,
mm.
and so I helped with what's it called, and that kind of sparked my inner
Yeah,
philanthropist.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you turned your pain, right? You turned your pain into philanthropy. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, unless we're tapped in our heart, it's very hard to align with philanthropy until you felt some type of way. Typically, as I said, stems from pain or rejection or being left out or an physical ailment. All of those things it's at a crossroads. You can either choose to let that get you down, or you can take the lesson and apply it to others and create a ripple effect of positivity. And that's just so beautiful. I'm so happy for you guys that you get it. So the last question is, what would actually inspire you to get involved in something like a youth philanthropy program? The ask here is, how can we shift the narrative and this process to become more real? If anyone wants to jump in on that.
Yeah. I think it definitely starts just with being aware of yourself, your passions, and then also aware of what's going on around you. I think it's pretty difficult, especially now, just to kind of see something going on that is either like an injustice or something that doesn't align with your passions and that like would make you upset and not take action. So I think it's really about following through and kind of setting a clear vision for yourself. I know for me, a lot of, what I shared with my mental health story, and then also some other just things that I've been involved with in the past, it's been because it's impacted someone close to me and I've seen it firsthand. And I've been fortunate enough to be in a place where I can help and where I have the resources and where I've been able to seek the support to kind of help me help them. So I think it's really just about not just doing it because you can or because you're in a higher position, but really about choosing something that means something to you and not just doing it to check a box, but really following through because that's what's going to have the long-lasting impact.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you were just speaking my language, Jordana. I love that. It's that's the realness, is when you've been personally affected by it. I love that you said that doesn't check the box, or that, we're doing this, doing one of these deals that you've been personally affected. And we've all been affected. We all have a story. So yeah, that's super powerful.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
I completely agree with that. And I think you hit the nail on the head as well when it came to connectivity, community, and collaboration, because a lot of times you'll see movements or like issues that people kind of try to take like to kind of glorify themselves rather than to actually bring attention to the literal issues. So
Mhm.
I think community is the most important thing you can try to foster, because when you get people to care about it for reasons that like it might not directly affect them, but it might affect people that they care about, or they care that it's affecting people in general, it makes them more likely to be in tune with it.
Mm. Very well said. Thank you. Do you guys want to ask me anything?
Sure, well, I was wondering what kind of brought you to Defeat the Streets, and like how is that kind of how is being a part of this like changed you since
That's
you've
very
joined?
kind of you to ask. Thank you so much. Yeah, what brought me to defeat the streets is that tagline, tap your inner philanthropist. Okay, gang.
I was kind of wondering, I know you were talking a little bit about AI and how that's disconnecting us,
Mhm.
but more so on the side of, online presence, social media, but also the rise of AI. How do you think that that could be positively impacting philanthropy and kind of the ability to spread awareness and come up with ideas for helping others?
Well, I think when, like anything, as long as we're using it for good, my first podcast was with a young woman by the name of Keegan, who actually wrote a book, 60 Days. Well, I forget the title, but it's 60 days. Basically, she took 60 days offline. And because if you ever watch the podcast, it's a very intriguing story, a mental health situation. And she saw how damaging social media can be. And we really, in her book and also during this podcast, we really explored the the duality of technology, the good and the bad, right? And so what I'm seeing with AI with regards to philanthropy and the good is that if it can be used and serve as our highest self, but it can also be used if we're using it in an addictive, obsessive way. It reminds me so much of social media.
I
Anyone
actually
else
have a
want some
question.
Kiki?
I do have a question. What do you
Yeah.
think is the biggest part of philanthropy?
Say that again.
What do you think is the biggest part of philanthropy?
Well, I think the problem with the word philanthropy is it seems too big. It's a big word. It's an elitist word for me. I think it's out of date and untouchable. And so I don't like to look at it from that perspective. For me, philanthropy, I like to bring it really in nice and small and hold it because guess what? I am a philanthropist. I may not be on a stage. I may not be, my money might not be right or whatever, but I am more philanthropic than most so-called philanthropists because I wake up in the morning and I set the tone. Who can I help today? Period. Period.
I'm kind of curious. I know we've been saying that philanthropy is like an outdated term. I'm
Mhm.
curious, like, what it was like for you growing up. How did you see the word philanthropy, or like your experience as a different generation from
Yeah,
us?
I think that philanthropy for me was out of touch. I mean, I didn't grow up like that. I didn't win the birth lotto, right? I'm going to have a lot of just socioeconomically and gender and race. I mean, I did get some wins, but as far as financial, I always thought philanthropy was just Gates and Bezos and all that's good, and we need those big dollars. We need those programs, but it didn't inspire me at all. I could not relate. And going back to the realness of philanthropy, if you can't relate, then you're not impacted. You're not tapped. There's no holistic organic connection. So it means nothing. And so that's what we're trying to do here is that actually philanthropy is what it's about ultimately. And you can't hijack that word in your elitism. You just can't. You're not allowed. We're taking it back. And we're going to do a final word round. What's one word or short phrase you're taking away from today's chat? So I'm going to ask that again. Really think about it. What's one word or short phrase you're taking away from today's chat? How are you impacted by this dialogue today?
I'd say I'm encouraged. It's nice to hear different perspectives, and even though it's like we're all coming from different backgrounds, we're all kind of agreeing on, we do see a lot of the same issues, and we all kind of have our own little way of trying to figure out how to make things better, and that's encouraging to me.
Yeah,
It makes me feel like, not only am I not alone, but there's hope for our generation to try to fix the things we see wrong.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think on a similar,
agree
oh,
with you.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. Sorry, thank you. I gotta agree with Ray. I feel motivated in a sort of way, to hearing, like you say, hearing all these different perspectives kind of, I guess maybe either redefined or molded another piece of my thinking.
Hmm. Wonderful. Eduardo?
I think collaboration is one that sticks out to me. I feel like we've said that a bit here, but just like being able to talk to other people and like realize that it's, we can do what we can, but when we come together, it can be a lot more powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely amplified. Thank you, Eduardo. How about you, Jordana?
I would say purpose. I think it's been amazing kind of hearing about everyone's different purposes and what their passions are and what drives, their urge to help people. So just finding that purpose in yourself is really important before you're able to go out there and help others.
Yeah, wonderful. And Callie?
I would say community. I know we talked about that word a lot throughout this chat, and I think that like it's really refreshing to know that there's a community of people out there that are willing to help. And even though we talked about how philanthropy kind of can sound outdated, that people are willing to work together to change the meaning of it and to help people.
Well, you guys, this is a startup. You guys and everything you just said, imagine if all hands on deck and we amplify these voices, what we can accomplish in community at Defeat the Streets, right? It's pretty exciting, very intriguing, and I'm such a big fan of all of you. Thank you so much for having such tremendous hearts. Beautiful, beautiful to meet you all. And I think that's a wrap.
Thank you for
Keep
your
the
time.
fire. Yeah, yeah. Thank you all for your time.